The town of Millfield was an old one, the kind of place where everyone knew each other and secrets festered beneath the surface. It was nestled in the shadow of whispering pines, a dense forest that loomed over the town like a dark guardian. Folks spoke in hushed tones about the forest, sharing tales of strange disappearances and unsettling whispers carried on the wind. Ed Harper, a retired cop, moved to Millfield to escape the nightmares of his past. After 30 years in the force, he'd seen enough horror to last a lifetime. He bought an old house on the edge of town, close enough to the forest that he could hear the wind rustling through the pines. It was supposed to be peaceful, but peace is a fragile thing. Ed first noticed the whispers one cool autumn evening. He was sitting on his porch, nursing a glass of bourbon, when he heard it. A faint, almost imperceptible murmur. At first, he thought it was the wind, but the more he listened, the clearer it became. It sounded like voices, many voices, all speaking at once, their words tangled and indistinct. The next morning, Ed mentioned it to Maggie, the owner of the local diner. She was a spry old woman with a sharp tongue and a soft spot for Ed. "Ah, you heard the pines, did you?" she said, her eyes narrowing. "People say the forest whispers to those who are troubled. It's best to ignore it, Ed. Nothing good comes from listening to those voices." But Ed was a curious man, and curiosity is a dangerous thing. That night, he went back to his porch, straining to hear the whispers. They came again, clearer this time. Among the chaotic murmurs, he caught a phrase, "Help us." It was enough to send a chill down his spine. Over the next few days, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. Ed's sleep was plagued with vivid nightmares of shadowy figures and pleading voices. Determined to find answers, he ventured into Whispering Pines, armed with a flashlight and his old service revolver. The forest was unnaturally silent, the air thick with a sense of foreboding. As Ed delved deeper, the whispers grew louder, swirling around him like a maelstrom. He stumbled upon an old, overgrown trail that led to a clearing. In the center stood an ancient oak tree, its gnarled branches reaching out like twisted fingers. At the base of the tree, half buried in the earth, was a small, weathered chest. Ed pried it open to find a collection of old photographs and newspaper clippings. They told a dark story of a group of children who had vanished from Millfield 50 years ago. The town had searched, but the children were never found. The case had gone cold, and the forest had claimed another secret. As Ed sifted through the chest, he felt a cold presence behind him. He turned to find the ghostly figures of the missing children, their eyes hollow and filled with sorrow. They reached out to him, their voices blending into a single, desperate plea. "Help us. Release us." With a sense of dawning horror, Ed realized the truth. The children were trapped, their souls bound to the forest by some dark force. They needed his help to break free. Summoning all his courage, Ed promised to help them. Following the children's whispered directions, Ed performed a ritual beneath the ancient oak tree. As he completed the final incantation, a blinding light erupted from the tree, and the spirits of the children were released. Their ethereal forms dissipated into the night, their whispers fading into silence. But as the forest grew quiet, Ed felt a sinister presence lurking. He turned to see the twisted face of a dark entity, a malevolent spirit that had been holding the children captive. It lunged at Ed, and he felt an icy grip tighten around his heart. In his final moments, Ed understood the price of meddling with the unknown. The town of Millfield would wake to find their new neighbor gone, another soul claimed by Whispering Pines. The forest, ever hungry, would wait patiently for the next curious soul to listen to its whispers. And the wind would carry their cries, mingling with the rustling leaves, forever haunting the shadows of Millfield.